ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Geek First Review. I am Travis Snell. Talking about a good movie today. If you've noticed, it is fall, so we're going to be reviewing a lot more movies. We said at the beginning of the year we're going to try and do that, but with fall comes Oscar season, and obviously, who knows, Oscars are still far away, but this was a movie that got a lot of buzz. If you're wondering now, because there's kind of a time frame, usually with movies and video games with us, usually we review something in the first week, maybe 2 weeks, and then if we don't get to it, we just don't throw a review out there. The reason I'm reviewing Blackkklansman now is not because I'm lazy, I just saw, I'm like, oh, I'll throw it up there. Kelowna, BC, Canada, did not get it until last week. And especially because I had been wanting to, because I want to see when did it come out originally. I think it came out like no, not BL Striker. Why would I type in black with three Ks and it would take me to BL Striker? Yay. Okay, so let me just see when it came out originally. August 10th. So to put it in perspective, how for movies and comic books, Kelowna fucking sucks. So that's why we're doing a review now. So I know it's late, but I like to review, honestly, movies I like, but movies that are kind of Oscar-centric. And to me, I hope this is something that gets a lot of Oscar buzz. As far as spoilers, I'm not going to do any spoilers for this review. It's going to be a quick review. Like I said, it has been out for a while, but this movie was great. I've been waiting for it, and with Spike Lee, it's kind of a hit or miss, because let me go back and see like what the last Spike Lee movie I missed, because I've seen a lot of them, because obviously if you're a film fan, if it's something you want to do, you go back and watch a bunch of stuff, and you gotta watch this, When was the last like Spike Lee movie? It's been a while. I literally think Inside Man. I'm looking through it, and that's one that I really walked away being, man, love that. So this movie obviously was getting a lot of buzz when it was coming out, and I was just getting more and more excited for it. And I'm a huge fan of Adam Driver. I think Adam Driver, and this will go into his review, I think he's one of the best working actors today. I think he's easily top 5, top 3 in my opinion. Might be number 1. I really think that. He's a chameleon. I'm going to wait to get to Adam Driver. So, had seen one trailer, looked great, liked the cast, obviously Spike Lee, like buzz, that's always a good thing when there's critics that you like or trust and they're saying good things about it. So I'm very excited, and then as it took a month to get here, I was getting more and more excited. So I was worried, honestly, that it might not deliver on the hype, and it did. It's fantastic. It is a slower movie for as far as giving a recommendation, but it's a nice slow burn. Because at first it was going a pace where I was worried it was getting too slow, because there's lots of things where, what's his name again? It's Denzel's son, by the way, which sounds identical. It's fucking nuts. John David Washington. Ron. How did I forget Ron Stallworth? If you've seen the movie. There's just some moments in the beginning of his missions where he's doing a lot of talking to people, and he talks to kind of a love interest and whatnot. And there's some great scenes that go in there, but I was waiting to get to the thick of things, but when we really do, we do. This is a movie, a great example. We talk about, there's a lot of movies, I think one movie, that us as reviewers usually give for certain movies, because they do it a lot, is a balance of comedy and drama. And if go check out my review. I just did a simple favor. Live Anna Kendrick, I just reviewed that. That's a movie that does that, but it goes towards a more comedic slant, and then there's some drama, not sprinkled in, but I would feel the bigger percentage of the movie is more comedic, or it's even split 3 ways of comedic, mystery, killer, thriller, and then comedy. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's kind of out there. Check it out. Good movie, good review. This movie does lay to the dramatic side more, but the comedy is flawless, and that's one of the biggest things I think we do comedy movies on. There's so many movies that try to be dramatic, create dramatic moments, but the comedy does not hit. It falls flat, or it can sometimes override and ruin the drama. This is a bad example, but something like a King Kong way back ago that I reviewed. I remember that's when I think we had a big discussion of trying to find balance, and also we talk about Tarantino and how he can balance it. For me, it's either go comedic, over the top, go dramatic, or you can find a balance, but it's going to be fucking hard. And there's so many movies that I feel like we reviewed in the past few years that try it and just fail, whether it's to a small degree or a large degree. And lots of times it's bigger than smaller. This movie is fantastic. And the best way I could say this is, like I said, I'm not going to spoiler things. I'll throw out certain scenes and descriptions, but nothing big story plot points. There's a scene that starts off this movie with Alec Baldwin, and he's in front of a projector, and he's obviously a KKK member. and he's probably like a leader or something because he's kind of reading out some rhetoric or whatnot, and he's standing in front of a projector, and it's I think assumed that he's either recording something or they're videotaping him for something. The opening scene lets you know if you're gonna enjoy this movie or not, because there is a lot of comedy in this. It's a lot of dry humor, and it's a lot of humor that they play off like racist stuff with white people and black people. Like they make a lot of that, so they let you know right away. And they also, with the dramatic stuff, the race stuff, they go on hard right away. Alec Baldwin is saying some awful shit, and they let you know, because there's some movies that are about race and some movies that are about equal rights that play a bit closer to the chest, right? It's trying to get that message out there, and they were trying to do it with. I think this movie did it with care, but I feel like sometimes people don't want to. They feel that if they go too far, that might offend people and they might like muddle the message. This movie goes for the throat, but I think it's a good thing that does it. The scene is him giving off some rhetoric, but he's constantly like screwing up and things like that, and it's played for laughs and whatnot. Because he's like, oh, should I say this? Like, should I say it like this? Should I say it like that? And then he'll get back into there'll be like 30 seconds of him saying like all this stuff right, and it sounds very awful, and it is very awful. And the stuff that he's talking about and using words to describe black people is terrible, and even Jewish people, other cultures that KKK has a problem with, and then he'll screw up and they'll do some more laughs. That scene, it's shot phenomenally. I love that look of the projector, and that just right away, I fell in love with that scene. That lets you know if you like this movie. So if you are wondering if you're going to like this movie, that opening scene to me is this movie. It is dramatic, it has a very powerful message, but it has levity in it, and that really helps. The last half an hour is my favorite part of the entire movie, and it's one of my favorite parts of the entire year as far as just a progression of scenes and what's happening, because that kind of loses some of the comedy. And not that I want to lose the comedy, but there was a certain point I was worried, are we never going to get like a full bite? You know, is it always going to be kind of a dramedy in a way? And I know dramedy sounds bad, but it feels like that, you know, and it's done really well, so I don't mean it in a negative light at all. It's the best type of dramedy you could get. But I was wondering that, because they talk about, the idea is, so obviously if you have no idea about this movie, Ron Solowith, he's a black man, he sees an ad for the KKK, he applies, he is a cop, he works undercover with Adam Driver's character, who is Philip, right? Yeah, Phil, or Flip, and he sends him in there as kind of his decoy. So he's on the phone talking to KKK members, and then they send in Adam Driver's character, because obviously he's a white male, he's Jewish, and that's the part that plays into it, but still, he just looks like, obviously, he doesn't look black, so that's how they can use him as a cover. And for the most part, there's some comedic stuff, but the crutch is, this isn't a big spoiler thing, they're trying to figure out, is this chapter of the KKK, are they violent? And for a while, it was this thing of, they kind of hint around stuff, but it's like, are we going to get are these just people that are racist and hate other cultures, or are they bad people? And it's not even that I'm spoiling, it's just that, not even that they're bad people, like, you meet David Dukes in this movie, and it gets more serious. It's not to the point where they say, like, oh yeah, this black guy, you know, he took my sister, you know. That's what I mean. Not even that it gets violent. It's just that it's kind of a lot of that, like, oh, I hate the black guys too. Them starting to really talk bad about them and talk about, like, what if we did this? And talking about moral stuff, where even stuff like Adam Driver's character eventually, he even says, like, he wasn't raised, this is a minor spoiler, but he says, like, he wasn't raised Jewish, this and that, but he starts to feel it because of, he's reminded of it every day and the way these guys talk about it. And the last half an hour really bites down. There's still some comedic moments, but it gets into the drama, it gets more serious, and it gets more into, they're trying to figure out more if this Klan is dangerous, and the investigation in that. It's fantastic. Like, and I like the rest of the movie, but that last half an hour, that was perfect. It was great. It was just, I was on the edge of my seat. The acting is phenomenal in this movie. Everyone is really good, but Adam Driver is just a standout. Adam Driver, what I was saying earlier, he's a chameleon. You look at, I can't remember what that poetry movie was that he did last year, where he's a bus driver. You look at that, you look at Girls, you look at Stars, you look at something like this. He very much reminds me of Michael Fassbender, early, like, 2010s. Like, he's just changing his appearance all the time. Not even physical, just, I mean, like, when you can line up, and Christian Bale was like this too, and that's why they're on the Man Crush list, same as Adam Driver. When you can put a bunch of performances and they act differently, not because they're written differently, because the actor feels like a different person each time, that's a flawless, fantastic actor, and I feel like he has that. He is always changing. They never feel like anybody, where that can be a big crush. I imagine you're watching an actor who is a person, and it's hard because they gotta change themselves. That's a tough thing to do, and to do that all the time, and not, like, I don't feel any of Adam Driver's characters have any connection to one another. It's not like, oh yeah, I can kind of see a little bit of that, a little bit of that in there. No, he is fantastic. The rest of the cast really good. David Washington, never seen him before. I really liked him. he had a hard edge to him, but he also had this good nature about him, you know, and that's one of the best things. He pulls it off really well, because one of my favorite things about this movie is obviously it's covering race, but it covers it from so many different angles. And not that this would be a bad thing, but many movies have just covered is black people against bad white people, right? This movie does good black people against good white people, bad black people against good white people against not necessarily bad black people, but like in the sense of some of them are getting ready, like the Black Panthers, they're getting ready to resort to violence. There's a discussion in this thing where they're just saying, hey, you know, you should just go buy some guns, get some stuff, because the war is coming, and be prepared. And it's just, and that's a scene with Ron Stallworth, Dave Washington's character, and that's even a red flag for him. And that's why I like that it was all these different angles, and then you get Adam Driver's character being a Jewish man in this, and, you know, he's going through some stuff, but he sees even worse of, like, what, you know, black people are going through, and the real Ron Stallworth would go through. And that's why I like that it was not just a full-on, okay, you know, because you do feel uncomfortable as a white person watching this movie, and you should, because we did some really terrible, awful things. And that happens that last half an hour, where you just get that. It's very much like Black Panther, I talked about in the review, or 12 Years a Slave. Those moments where you go, man, we were fucking pieces of shit at one time, and we deserve, like, yeah, we deserve sometimes what we got coming to us. Like, hopefully, as time progresses, that goes on, and we get rid of every person that acts like that. But that's what the movie also shows, is, like, I'm not trying to spoil too much, but, you know, there's some good stuff that comes from this investigation, but shows there's still a long ways away. And just because you got one win doesn't mean that eradicates everything. And it's kind of like that 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And hopefully we'll be 3 steps forward at one point, because there's still a lot of stupid, vile motherfuckers out there. And that's what this movie has a good point of showing. And that's why I like that. It wasn't just because even Ron Stallworth, Dave Washington's character, I guess I should be calling him John Washington, because David's his middle name, but still. So John Washington, his character goes to a rally with black people, and one that has a love interest in it, and he's kind of talking about the morals of, like, hey, like, because they don't like cops, and he's a cop, and it's this thing of, like, hey, like, there are good people out there are people that doing, and they go, no, you know, that's not the case. And then some people are showing otherwise. I don't want to spoil too much, but it tackles the race issue from all different perspectives, and that's why I like it. It's not just a full-on, you know, Ron Stallworth just trying to take out the white people and screw the white people. And then there's other cops that are fantastic, and they want to help Ron. And then there's other that are kind of in the middle that don't want to stick their neck up for him. And then there's other that are just racist pieces of shit. And that's the best thing about this movie, is dialogue is very witty, smooth, and for me it's the race. That's what I mean. The acting, the last half an hour, dialogue, but it's the race issue, the way they tackle it, because it's not just a black and white issue, but and that's the way it is in the world. It's not, but some movies don't do that. Some movies just do make it very simple, of just like every white person's bad, or, you know, every black person is just really over the top and just hate white people. You know, they have good discussions in this movie about trusting people, or earning trust, or not trusting certain people, or what to do in this situation, or, you know, oh, these are KKK right away. That's the way I was thinking when this movie was happening. I'm like, okay, we're getting right in there, but they're like, hey, we're not going to keep investigating if they're not violent. And it's like, yeah, I guess you could just let these people, because freedom of speech, like, the way I didn't think about it because of the movie, because of the investigation, like, yeah, I guess you got to make sure that, because they can just be lazy, loser white people, you know, that hate different races. So, phenomenal movie. Really enjoyed it. Just shots, like I said, that opening, there's a great dance scene with the song Turn Back Now that they haven't all spoiled. But the way it's shot in this club, it's fantastic. There's lots of great cinematography, and the score. I think there's so many things to shout out that I love. The score is fantastic. There's so many moments where not so many moments, but there's key moments where there is no talking, and the score is just bearing down you. Not like a Hans Zimmer, like overbearing. It just fits it so well. And it has like a solemn mood, but then other times it kind of has like a, you know, fun, lighthearted, almost jive sort of way of, if things are going well, the score is going well, and if things are darker, if it's Adam Driver, you know, undercover, and there's certain, like, they do meet David Dukes at one point in the movie. Shout out to Topher Grace, because I didn't know he had it in here. Like, he's not much in this movie, but damn, he's good. And I hope he gets more work, because obviously he just got paid as that 70 Show guy, and then Venom happened, but he's really, really good. And he's just, he's a little scary at times. And he plays a buffoon, and that's really tough. That's tough to play a scary buffoon, and he pulls it off. But the score, there's just certain moments where that's when you know you got a great score, because it's, to me, a good or very good score will stand out over time and maybe catch little things, but there's multiple points in this movie where the score stood out and I took notice of it, and I listened to it on my phone today. So there you go. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have too many negatives. I think there was a few parts that were a little slow, and there was, like I said, it's tough because, you know, I'm not going to give this one a score, and that's the most bullshit trash thing, but because I honestly do want to see it again, there's one negative thing that, because I'd almost have to give a score if I want to talk spoilers, and I don't. I want people to go see this movie, and there's not too much to dive into. There's one character thread that I was a little surprised the way it ended, and then when the movie ended, I didn't feel there was much closure on that, especially because the character goes through something, you would assume there would be a change in that character, and they don't change, and then I'd be like, okay, let's have that discussion, but then that never happens and the movie ends. But yeah, there's some really good comedic moments. I want to shout some out. If you've seen the movie, you know maybe the last time Ron's on the phone, it's fantastic. Yeah, there's just lots of times I was laughing, lots of times I wanted to my seat, lots of my son was twirling up. All I would say is I love this movie. It's in my top 10 of the year. If I can't give a rating, that person in perspective, my top 10 of the year. I'm not sure where it ranks. I'll have to look. But yeah, I hope this gets nominated for a lot of awards. I don't know, writing, directing, Best Picture. We got 10 of them. I don't know if Adam Driver would get it in here because he's in it a lot, but it's just not like a super meaty role that I like to nominate. But I think it's so damn strong. He should. I could see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just think the Oscar has to go for sometimes more flashier stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning into this review. Go to geekverspodcast.com and find our podcast links and our YouTube channel. Please, November 3rd is, well, it's not coming up, but it's, you know, a few months away. We're doing a 24-hour charity stream. We're trying to raise $1,000 goes towards the BC Children's Hospital. And if you help us do that, we're going to be playing tons of games. The full announcement's coming soon. We got a huge lineup. If you're a Geek First fan, you're going to like it and want to stay tuned in the 24 hours. If you help us raise $1,000 for BC Children's Hospital, we're not shaving one, we're not shaving two, but we're shaving the three. We're shaving 3 heads this year. Last year we did 2, and one of them is mine, and mine's on the line. So, you know, raise that $1,000, cut off these golden locks. I don't want to be bald right now, but I'm doing it. I said I would, and you know what? I want to do it because I want us to hit 1,000. Last year we hit 550, and that was such a huge rush of emotion because I honestly didn't think we were going to do that. So try to prove us wrong again. It goes towards a really great cause. That's just 50 people. No, I've screwed my naturally. That's just 20 people giving us $50, and we don't get any of it. It goes all towards BC Children's Hospital. So please help us out. Thank you very much for tuning in this review. When I talk to you next time, it will not be boring.